Coming up on Sports Paws, the women's ice hockey team hosted St. Lawrence for the second straight year in the conference quarterfinals.
Also, men's basketball is going for their 8th straight win against the Siena Saints. We'll see how they did.
All that and more coming up on Sports Paws right now. And welcome to another episode of Sports Paws. I'm Giovanni Mio.
And I'm James Anderson. So, Gio, the winter season is coming to an end. How do you feel about it?
I'm actually a little bit upset about this, to be honest.
Well, don't be upset. We still have women's ice hockey.
And not to mention the men's and women's basketball teams wrapping up their regular seasons.
Well, Gio, let's see how everyone did.
The 4th-seeded women's ice hockey team hosted the St. Lawrence Saints in the ECAC quarterfinals for the second straight year. Last year, the Bobcats lost to the Saints in 3 games. In the past 6 games, Quinnipiac holds a 1-3-2 record against St. Lawrence, including getting shut out 3 times by junior goalie Carmen McDonald. Would history repeat itself at the High Point Solutions Arena? Bobcats have not won a game against St. Lawrence all year. Second straight year facing them in the quarterfinals. First period, though, Bobcats would get an early advantage. Kelly Babstock intercepts the pass from the middle of the slot. She'll shoot. Saved by McDonald, but with the rebound, Syracuse transfers Cheyenne D'Arcangelo. Bobcats up ahead early, 1-0. Now, midway through the first period, Kelly Babstock wins the faceoff at an offensive zone faceoff to D'Arcangelo, who slaps a one-timer to give the Bobcats a 2-0 lead in the second period, though. Scramble in front of the Saints net. The puck is loose, and look who's there to pick it up. Megan Turner with the goal, and the Bobcats now up 3-0. Entering the third period early on, Nicole Connery centering feed to Amanda Collins, who was stopped on her initial shot as she falls down here, but the puck will go right past McDonald slowly for the 4th goal of the game. And now later in the 4th period, Bobcats up 4-0. Emma Woods from D'Arcangelo. She'll break out of the defensive zone, shot in between the wickets of McDonald for the goal. And the Bobcats would win the game 5-0. Here is head coach Rick Seeley after the game.
Well, she's been great from the beginning of the year. I mean, her game's gotten a lot better the second half in terms of everything else around her scoring, but she's scored in almost all her big games, so, you know, it's huge when a player's showing up for those games. Woodsy to get a goal tonight, too, was great. You know, you just don't get a better shot than that. But, you know, it's nothing new for Shy. She's been doing that for us all year.
And here we go, Game 2 of the series against St. Lawrence, right up at the bank. Quinnipiac having the 1-0 lead so far. Now here we are in the first period. Kelly Babstock getting the pass in the neutral zone, taking it in for the breakaway. She dekes left, right, and puts it right past McDonald for the goal. Now here into the second period, Cheyenne D'Arcangelo gets the puck, takes it wide, will shoot it into traffic in front of the net. Morgan Fitz-Ward will tip it in for the goal. That gives QU the 2-0 lead. Now here we go into the third period. And we will go, there's a scramble in front of the net, and Chelsea Layden will be able to keep her ground there and keep it a 2-0 lead. Later in the period, Alex Moore of St. Lawrence is knocked into the net, and there will be a penalty against Quinnipiac on that. And then in the final minute of the game, there will be a power play for St. Lawrence. And right here, Alex Moore at the point will knock it in with a slap shot, but Quinnipiac will be able to hold it on for a 2-1 win against St. Lawrence and will ultimately win the series. Welcome back, everyone, and we are now joined by our analyst, Gabbi Riggi, to break down that series between Quinnipiac and St. Lawrence. So, in the past, they've had trouble even scoring against St. Lawrence, especially with McDonald in net. What do you think was the difference in how they were finally to get past her in this series?
Well, I think they were finally able to Carmen McDonald figure out her game. Coach Rick Seeley said a lot about how they worked blocker side. They knew her glove was her strong point, and they went against that. They tried to get her as far out of the net as possible, and they were able to get past her on the blocker side. I also think they had a bit of a surprise with the offensive outburst from Cheyenne D'Arcangelo. She had 3 goals and 2 assists in those 2 games, and that was someone that McDonald hadn't really seen prior. They might have had Babstock's game read a little bit better, but having figured out Carmen McDonald's game and taking advantage of that and having the offensive output from D'Arcangelo definitely helped them propel in those 2 games past St. Lawrence.
And after the quarterfinal sweep against St. Lawrence, the women's ice hockey team still drops down to number 9, my apologies, in the pairwise rankings, with conference foes Clarkson and Cornell in top 5. Their 22 wins ties a single-season program record as they advance to their 3rd conference semifinals in program history. So, Gabby, even after sweeping the Saints, who they've had troubles with all year, they dropped from 8 to 9 in the pairwise. Do you agree with this?
Not necessarily, but the biggest problem with this is that they've had a higher win percentage than the other team that they're in front of, which would be Mercyhurst. The biggest thing for them is that it's the influence of the ties that they've had. They have more ties than any other team in the country. They have 9 ties. And you see that now coming into play, even with 22 wins, which, as you said, was program best. They're not able to come out as far ahead as they would like to because of the ties that they had in games that they should have won, in a game like the 14th and February 14th against Yale. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for them that they maybe should have won but weren't able to.
Following their sweep of St. Lawrence this past weekend, the women's ice hockey team will travel to Clarkson for the semifinals of the ECAC playoffs. Clarkson is the first seed in the tournament. Bobcats suffered a loss and tied in their 2 meetings with Clarkson during the regular season. Now, who do you think has the advantage in this series? I mean, Clarkson being the #1 seed obviously is kind of the easy go-to favorite, but Quinnipiac has been playing well pretty lately.
I still will take Clarkson. They have one of the best goaltenders in the nation in Erica Howe. She gives up a 1.05 goals against average, which is incredible. They also have a 200-point score in Jamie Lee Rattray, and she's got #2 in the country in scoring, so they have a lot going up against them. I think what really they need to do in order to be successful is to have Chelsea Layden play as phenomenally as she has been playing, to have the defense play as tight as they've been playing. I think for as well as they have been playing in the past few weeks, you know, they can give Clarkson a run for their money, absolutely, but Clarkson is the #3 in the country for a reason and #1 in the ECAC for a reason.
Well, Gabby, thanks for stopping by. We're going to take a quick break here on Sports Paws, but when we come back, the women's basketball team is on a tear, but hosts one of the top teams in the MAAC. And Jordan Seaboard tells us about how the men's basketball team surprised a lot of people in the conference. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back. Well, the women's basketball team had a 3-game winning streak going into their game against the MAAC leading Iona Gales. The Gales were entering the game with a 17-1 MAAC record this year, while the Bobcats had a 13-5 MAAC record. This meeting between the top 2 scoring teams in the MAAC comes with a lot of playoff implication. Let's see what happened. Here we go. Quinnipiac hosting the Iona Gales. And here's Trisha Fabry pumping up her team, but we're going to go right to the second half where Quinnipiac is down 42-33. Whitney McQueen will get the pass from Boo Abshire, and McQueen will lay it in, and Iona is still leading 42-35. Later in the second half, Brittany McQueen will once again get a pass from Boo Abshire, where she will take it from the drive and hit the layup, and now it's 64-61, Iona still leading. Moments later, Brittany McQueen again with a pass from Boo Abshire. She will put it up and hit the layup, but get fouled. And now it's 68-65, Iona. A few plays later, Boo Abshire 65-68, there you go. And then a few plays later, Boo Abshire will get a pass from Samantha Guastella, and Abshire will hit the three-pointer. It's 71-68, Iona. Quinnipiac keeping it a very close game. And then a little later, Jasmine Martin will drive the lane, but she will be fouled. There's 1:20 left in this game. Martin will make both free throws, and it is 76-72, Quinnipiac with 1:20 left in the game. But moments later, Adeline Martucci will miss her last free throw. Samantha Guastella fouls Joy Adams of Iona. And Joy Adams would make both of her free throws for the Iona Gales, and the final score would be 80-72 Iona. Iona holding off against Quinnipiac, who made it a close game in the end.
After losing to the first place Iona, the women's basketball team finished their regular season on the road against Manhattan, winning 86-78. The win is Quinnipiac's 12th in their last 15 games, and they now stand 14-6 in the MAAC, 4th in the conference. The Bobcats finish out the top 4 in the conference with Iona, Marist, and Fairfield ahead of them.
With the regular season all wrapped up, the women's basketball team find themselves in the 4th seed heading into the MAAC playoffs. The 4th seed is good enough to give the Bobcats a bye to the quarterfinals, where they will face 5th seed Canisius. That game will be played on Friday at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Entering their first season in the MAAC, the men's basketball team was projected to finish 7th. While it's safe to say Tom Moore and his squad exceeded expectations as they sat in 2nd place in the MAAC standings heading into the weekend. With all the success they had and a trip to Springfield for the conference tournament on the way, Jordan Siegler tells us more about the team's journey this season.
In December of 2012, Quinnipiac University announced that many of its athletic programs would be changing conferences from the Northeast Conference to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. From then on, many speculated on how the teams would do in the new conference. Before the season started, the men's basketball team was picked to finish 7th in their first year in the MAAC. With 2 games left in the regular season, the team sat in 2nd place.
You know, we understood it. We didn't like it, and it fired us up, and it's been a sort of a source of inspiration for us all year.
No, we really didn't improve anything to nobody, so I think they had every right to pick us 7th, and but we had a chip on our shoulder from that point on. We knew we weren't the 7th best team in this conference.
People were doubting us, and that's fine. Being an underdog role, it's easier. We came strong, we surprised a lot of people, and we're having a good season. So, I mean, it's all working out for the better.
In fact, Coach Moore believes that this may be the best team in program history.
It could be the best team we've ever had.
One of the biggest reasons for their success is the play of their big men, senior Ike Azatam and junior Usman Drame.
Ike Azatam is a senior who's obviously established himself as one of the best inside players in the Northeast, and Usman Drame is a junior who also, they complement each other very well.
I mean, when you have Ike and Us on the team, on your team, you're gonna have to give them the ball, and it benefits from us from the guard standpoint. When we throw the ball inside, so many teams have to double. When they kick it out, it gives us open shots.
Another factor in the team's strong play has been their home court. The Bobcats are 10-2 at home this season, with their only home loss in conference play coming against Canisius back in January. Coach Tom Moore says this dominance on Lender Court stems from pride.
When your top 4 guys are upperclassmen, and Shaquille Shannon's an upperclassman, and Evan Conti's now an upperclassman, they tend to take more pride and understand that you're sort of protecting home turf when you play at home.
If the Bobcats win the MAAC championship, they would also earn an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament, something that would mean a lot to this team.
Going out on top period is good, but winning it your first year in the new league that's special.
The first team, first Quinnipiac basketball team to go to the tournament, so why not?
As the MAAC tournament in Springfield, Massachusetts approaches, one thing to be certain of, this Bobcats team will be ready. Oh,
we're ready. We're ready.
What do you think's gonna happen?
Huh?
What do you think's
gonna happen? We're taking it. We're definitely taking it. That if anything less, it's a disappointing season, so we're ready.
From the TD Bank Sports Center, I'm Jordan Siegler, Q30 Sports.
The men's basketball team are winners of their last 7 games and hold 2nd place in the conference standings. Quinnipiac did not lose a game in February, going 7-0 in the month. Their streak started after an overtime win against Siena at the Times Union Square in Albany on February 1st. The Saints came down to Hamden for a rematch on Thursday night in the Bobcats' final home game of the season as they tried to inch closer and closer to first place in the MAAC regular season standings. Bobcats going for their 8th straight win and ending their homestand with a win. And speaking of seniors, Ike Astam getting awarded for his 1,000th rebound in his Quinnipiac career. He had something to say before the game about playing his last game at the TD Bank Sports Center.
I'm trying not to think about it too much. I mean, it's going to be a bittersweet feeling. We're definitely in a good position right now. We just want to go out the right way. So I'm going to miss playing here, but I know that my future, there's things down the road that are more important, like winning the championship and getting better seeded in the MAAC tournament. So it's going to be a bittersweet feeling, but it'll be fine.
Azotam and the Bobcats started off the first half strong. Shaq to Azotam from the mid-range right in front of the key. That's good for 2, and the Bobcats lead early 4-2. Later on, Zeithurst gets fouled, but Justin Harris picks up the rebound off the backboard. He gets 2 points there, and the Bobcats up 24-14, but Siena fighting back. Brett Bisping for the 3-point shot. The bank is open, and Siena is now only down 3. Later on in the half, Levon Long driving with the layup. Siena now down 34-33 at halftime. And here in the second half, Umar Shannon going for a mid-range shot. He falls down to the ground hard, slow to get up. More on him later in the show. And the game is close, as now Rob Poole will go to Ryan Oliver for the 3-point shot. Book it. Siena now up 53-51. But the Bobcats would answer. Azotam, Zeithurst, it's good for 2. Game is tied at 53. And moments later, Shaq Center from Zeithurst. Back to Hurst, 3-pointer, it's good, and the Bobcats up 69-67. And later on in the half, the Saints would get fouled as Levon Long will get fouled by Usman Johnny, makes the first free throw. And the second free throw, missed. Poole with the rebound, he'll drive inside, off the backboard, 4-2, count it, and the foul. And Poole would make his and 1 free throw to give the Saints a 70-69 lead. In the final moments of the game, Zeithurst drives down to the lane, goes to James Ford in the corner for 3. No. Siena will lose the game Siena will win the game 72-70, giving the Bobcats their first loss in the past 8 games. Now we bring in men's basketball analyst Tom Albanese. Tom, what exactly happened in the loss against the Siena Saints?
Well, Gio, very interesting game, like throughout the entire process, as you mentioned, and you saw how it happened in the end. A foul ended up causing this loss for the Bobcats, and it caused Siena obviously to make the free throws at the end, and it was able to give them the victory. This loss, I think it was a good time though for the Bobcats to get this loss because they were riding high on that winning streak, 7 games, and I think personally they needed a loss just to cool themselves down a little bit before the tournament, because if they went into the tournament on this winning streak, they may have been a little overconfident, and who knows what would have happened. So obviously it was a good performance overall by the entire team, but obviously the loss did end up dropping them from the 2 seed to the 3 seed, but obviously overall it was a good performance overall by the Bobcats.
If the men's basketball team wants to dance this March, they will need to do it without one of their best players. Point guard Umar Shannon is out for the rest of the season with a knee injury when he suffered in the loss to Siena. Shannon will have surgery on Wednesday. The grad student is averaging 14 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists per game this year. He finishes his career with 1,307 points and 226 assists. So now, Tom, what does the injury for Umar Shannon affect the Bobcats in the long run?
Well, Gio, this impacts the Bobcats tremendously down the stretch and into the MAAC tournament for these 2 key reasons. First of all, he has that big offensive presence whenever he's on the floor. He's one of those players on the team that averages over 30 minutes per game, and as you mentioned earlier, Gio, averaging 14 points per game, the 3rd best on the team. So obviously, first of all, you're missing that big offensive presence on the floor. But guys, the main reason why that the Bobcats are going to be impacted by Umar Shannon's loss for the rest of the year is the ability to get the ball across the court when their opponents are in the full court press. And there's this reason. Umar Shannon, standing at 5'11", 160 pounds around, he has that small, quick athleticism that helps him move up the floor, passing quickly to his teammates, and he's able to do a great job of that. But without him in the picture, you're having a guy like Zaid Hurst who likes to shoot the ball a lot, mostly controlling the point guard. But then the situation comes where it gets a little bad because you're having forwards like Ike Azatam, like Ousmane Drame, come to half court and receive the passes, and that causes turnovers and fast break points by the opponents. So obviously that's going to be the biggest reason why Umar Shannon's not there.
The men's basketball team went on the road to play Marist in their final regular season game. The Bobcats entered the game already having clinched a bye in the MAAC playoffs. Marist would defeat the Bobcats by a score of 103-72. Marist knocked down 15 three-pointers in the game. Despite the loss, Bobcats junior guard Zaid Hurst became the 27th player in program history to reach the 1,000 career point mark. Obviously, with 2 losses to end the year, it's a bit of a downstretch. I know you said that you think they needed a loss, but to get blown out by Marist this much right before going into the MAAC playoffs, do you think that will discourage this team at all?
I don't think so tremendously because obviously Marist did shoot the ball incredibly well. Obviously the scores you could clearly tell. And a majority why is because they scored 15 three-pointers. And that's the one thing that the Bobcats need to correct down the stretch is their defending of the three-point line because that did not happen obviously against Marist, and that has to happen going into the MAAC tournament. But the way the Bobcats played in that game, overall, they were kind of depleted. Again, Umar Shannon was not there, and Ike Azatam did leave that game early, only playing the first 10 minutes of the game. And you had a majority of the players on their bench coming out and supporting the team in roles where they really haven't done it at all this season. Guys like Justin Harris and James Ford playing 15 to 20 minutes in the game. That's not the role you see these players usually do. So obviously they were affected by that as well as the rest of the team, and Marist just plainly shot the ball really well in that game.
Well, thank you, Tom, for stopping by. The Bobcats ended the regular season clinching the 3 seed in the MAAC standings. Quinnipiac will get a first-round bye and face the winner of the first-round matchup between Niagara and Marist in the tournament. With that said, the Bobcats will be facing either team in the tournaments. So, Tom, you had to pick one of those 2 teams. Be the bigger threat. Who would it be and why?
Well, first let's just break down the matchup. Obviously, it's going to be Marist and Niagara. Both of these teams have got weapons, and both of these teams have performed decently well against Quinnipiac. Obviously, Quinnipiac dominating Niagara, winning 2 of the games. But Marist, they have their scores, so I think Marist is going to be the dominant factor for the Bobcats, the more dominant team in that game because they have more weapons. Obviously, for Niagara, all they have is Mason. No other player, on that team really poses a threat other than Mason. So if you shut down him, you shut down Niagara. And Niagara's got the worst defense in the MAAC, so that obviously plays a key. And Marist, with all those offensive weapons, I definitely give the nod to Marist on that one.
Okay, well, thank you, Tom. The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference released their all-conference teams for men's and women's basketball today, and a few Quinnipiac Bobcats found themselves on the list.
That's right, James. Representing the men's team is senior Ike Azatam making the All-MAAC first team, with Ousmane Drame making the second team, and Zaid Hurst making the third team.
And on the women's side, it's Brittany McQuain and Jasmine Martin being named to the All-MAAC third team, and Buab Shire also making the All-MAAC third team. When we come back, we'll tell you how the men's hockey team ended their season and how the women's track team did in the New England Championships. In addition, spring sports are moving into their second week. We'll tell you how they did right after this.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. Jordan Samuels-Thomas returned to action this week for the number 8 men's ice hockey team. And so did their offense, beating St. Lawrence 8-0. Junior forward Matthew Pekka had 2 goals and 4 assists, while Kellen Jones added 2 goals of his own. But in the season finale against the Clarkson Golden Knights, Quinnipiac's offense went missing once again, resulting in a 1-1 tie. Quinnipiac finishes the season 3rd in the conference with 28 points, 1 point behind Colgate for 2nd. They also clinched a first-round bye in the MAAC Tournament.
The women's indoor track and field team traveled to participate in the New England Championships this weekend. The big story of the day for Quinnipiac was the win in the 4x400 meter relay. Bobcats were placed in a slower qualifying heat, but despite the odds against them, the team of Becca Stable, Nia Baker, Shamil Samuels, and Kristen Ulrich all placed personal record splits and took first overall in the final heat of the event, setting a Quinnipiac program record in the process. Relay member Shamil Samuels received a first overall victory in the individual 400-meter dash. Samuels only won by a 15th of a second. Samuels set a program record for the 400-meter dash as well. Bobcats placed 9th in overall points amongst 22 schools, the highest Quinnipiac has ever placed at the New England Championships.
The men's lacrosse team picked up their first win of the season against Providence College, 16-9 last Sunday. Senior Dylan Webster led the way for the Bobcats, tallying 8 points in the matchup, while senior goaltender Gil Connors stopped 19 shots. Junior Michael Sagal scored 6 times on 7 shots. The team will travel to Cambridge to face the Harvard Crimson on Tuesday.
The women's lacrosse team lost their season opener at UConn last weekend by a score of 17-7. After the loss, the Bobcats traveled to play Albany on Saturday. Quinnipiac would once again lose, this time by a score of 16-2. Albany also outshot the Bobcats by 22 shots. This game did produce some good news for the Bobcats, though. Junior Kira Akwat scored both of Quinnipiac's goals for the game. This would give Akwat her 100th career point with the Bobcats. Akwat and the Bobcats will play their next game in New Haven at Yale on Friday.
Quinnipiac softball is off to a rough start this season. The team lost all 5 games in the USF Under Armour Invitational in Clearwater, Florida this past week. One of those losses was a 13-1 blowout against Western Michigan in 5 innings. The team will look to win their first game of the season soon, as they will finish their games in the Invitational this week.
While the quad may be covered in snow, the baseball team has started their season down south where it's warm. This weekend, the Bobcats traveled to Knoxville for a 3-game series against the Volunteers. Bobcats would not fare too well in the first game, losing by a final score of 13-2. Tennessee would get most of their runs in the middle innings, getting 3 runs in the 5th inning and 5 runs in the 6th. Game 2 of the series was closer, but the Bobcats would lose by a score of 4-3 in extra innings. Bobcats led 3-1 late in the game, but would give up 1 run in the 8th, 9th, and 10th innings of the game. Tennessee would complete the sweep on Sunday, defeating the Bobcats 9-4. Bobcats will return to the diamond next weekend when they take on Richmond in a 3-game series down in Virginia.
And with all 4 winter teams heading into the postseason, stick with us for more coverage.
To find out more about Quinnipiac sports, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Q30 Sports.
And don't forget to check out our website at www.q30television.com. He's James Anderson. I'm Giovanni Mio. Have a good day.